All right, guys. Buffalo Bills versus the Miami Dolphins. We went up to Buffalo. I don't think expectations were very high for this one because we don't normally do too well going up to Buffalo, but boy, could we have been more wrong. This was a game for the ages.
Yes, it
Uh,
was.
Truthfully, a little disappointed in the coverage that we got, like on the Sunday football shows and stuff. I thought this was the game of the day, and we got like very little coverage from the different channels. Like, and I was
Yep.
very surprised. It was a what was it, 30-27 the final score? I'm like,
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is this not the most covered game? It's a division game, Bills versus Dolphins.
Well,
Two
I think
teams
I
that
think our record had a lot to do with that.
I'm sure it did, but I do think there's a lot of people out there who are kind of like closet hoping for us because they picked us to win the East, so they want to be proven right, right? So they're
Yeah.
like, "Come on, Dolphins, you could do this." Unfortunately, we did fall to the Bills, 30-27, which puts us at 2-6, puts them at 7-2. That's awful. So it does seem like the division's a little bit out of reach at this point. But I mean, look what happened to us last year. I guess it's never
Fair.
truly out of reach.
It's never truly out of reach, and I will say this. There are it's like 7 or 8 teams that are 2 and something. So anything's possible right now. We just got to buckle down and show up.
Yeah, I feel like a quarter of the league is at the 2-win mark at this point. And the AFC, I think I had seen somebody comment on one of our shows saying that we were crazy for thinking the Dolphins could make the playoffs. And my reply was like, the AFC is a disaster, man. Like everybody's dropping except for the Chiefs. Everybody's losing games they probably shouldn't. So I think there's a chance, but we'll get more into that. So I want kind of thoughts, feelings, emotions. I don't care. Whatever you want to go with on this one. How do we feel about this Bills game overall, about the team? Whatever, Josh, if you want to start us off there.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm glad we didn't have a post game show because after the show, I was ready to blow up. Let's just hit the nuke button. Let's call it. I was just so heated. And then going through the second walkthrough or watch through. Gee, I did that with you, Steve, earlier too. Doing the second watch through of the game so I could get my notes in order for the show. It was actually a really, really like a phenomenal, like two really good teams. Obviously, one much better than the other from a record standpoint, but two just solid all around performances is probably the better way of saying it. That showed up to play ball. It was great. The offense from a Miami standpoint was clicking on all cylinders, which was awesome. The offensive line, which I focus on the big guys when I watch football a lot. So defensive and offensive lines were phenomenal. The offensive line was at least, very frustrating with the defense. Very frustrated with the defense still. I know we'll touch on that in a little bit here, but I think one play here, maybe benching 1 or 2 other players for the remainder of their lives, and we could win this game. You know what I mean? So all in all, now that I've had a few days to kind of calm down and process, I feel much better about kind of some of where we are. There are still a lot of questions that we have, and still some things we need to figure out, and potentially some changes that need to be made kind of from an accountability standpoint, both from a player standpoint, but also a coaching standpoint. So kind of mixed bag of feelings here.
Yeah, I think even more emotional about this one. I agree. I was also very emotional. I think all of us, if we had gotten on a show after this game.
Oh, dude, you and I were talking. We're like ready to blow this up, fire everyone, figure out your 5 core players you want to keep. Let's get rid of everyone, start over. But.
Yeah. And Keith and Steve are pissed because they just disappear. Like you don't hear from them. Like
yeah, when they go silent, something.
I do.
They're gone.
I do. When I know it's going bad and I got nothing. Mom always said, if you got nothing good to say, don't say nothing. And then I blow up and I just say it, But yeah, regardless.
It's funny.
But
yeah. Having 2 losses like that in a row really kind of like peaked the emotion too. Like the defense couldn't hold up 2 weeks in a row, and we lose to a game-winning field goal 2 weeks in a row. I mean, the difference is like minimal, right? Like if we get 1 stop, we have 2 wins instead of 2 losses, and we're 4-5 or 4-4 instead of 2-6, and it's just like that's why they call it a game of inches and a game of seconds, and because we're that close to being 500 instead of. What are we, 5 games out now at this point? So
we were 1 boneheaded Poyer play yet again away, and 1 Mostert fumble yet again away from splitting the series with the Bills for the season, and to your point, winning last week, and maybe even when I don't know what happened to the defense. It's very confusing to me and frustrating because the offense has finally showed up. Right, we needed to get Tua back. Fine, our offensive line has looked amazing in the last couple of games. I mean, seriously, top 10 kind of statistically over the last couple of games, which has been awesome. A little concerning that Waddle and Hill kind of disappear here and there, but running game has looked spectacular. Mike McDaniel staying patient. Mm-hmm. Just our defense is like too many lapses. I understand. Look, we're missing Holland, Cater Kohu, Chubb, Phillips, Sealer, Long Jr. because he got benched, which I want to talk about later. I thought it was awesome to see some accountability. I'm a huge Long Jr. fan, but it was awesome to see him get benched because of the poor play he had last week and get back. I don't think he played a snap if I'm not mistaken. So that was really good to see from an accountability standpoint, but you're missing 2/3 of your starters, all of which could be key starters on other teams. So I understand that we faltered, but next man up, man,
Yeah, Steve, I want to come over to you because you usually have like a different set of eyes on the game than we do. You usually have some different opinions. You see things differently. Yeah. What were your thoughts on this one?
The game hurt, and I want to actually bring it to my wife's perspective because she's a new Dolphins fan, and I've been here for 30 years.
Brought her to the dark side.
This feeling. So we're sitting here. We got our laptops open because we're both playing fantasy. I drug her in. I had to. I needed one more person. Babe, you're up. You're in. Boom. Next man up, like we were just saying. And she's been a trooper. She's just as bad, if not worse, than the Miami Dolphins right now. But we're sitting there watching it, and the first, half, we're like, wow, like this is a good game. We could win this game, and we come all the way down to a minute 38 seconds left in the game, and it's tied up. And I'm talking, we have a chance to go into overtime. Like overtime would be awesome. If we lose in overtime, that's okay. I don't want to lose here, and we all kind of know what happened. And she went, "Are you kidding me, babe? Are you kidding me?" Like, that's what she's saying to me. Like, no, babe, I'm really not kidding you. Sit down next week. We'll watch it again. Like, it happens all the time. Not saying that it's going to happen again, but honestly, it's like, that's pretty much the emotion that I sent to her, because that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like to be a Dolphins fan right there. And I said, do you enjoy being a football fan with me right now? Because she's not huge into football. And she pointed down at the wings we were eating, the 2 laptops we had open, the fantasy football on our phone, the fantasy football on the TV. She's like, do you think I like it? So, yeah, we still enjoyed it. There's still a lot of fun to be had. It was something that we could do together. We really rooted for them together. We really cheered them on. And
love that.
At the end of the day, I don't think it was the Dolphins that upset us. I think it was we almost scored too fast. We leaving a minute and 30 some seconds. Yeah, leaving a minute and 37 seconds left to Josh Allen and the Bills with still a timeout to go. It's a lot of time on the clock. That's a lot of football to be played on a 2-minute drill with a team that's been moving the ball all game. I mean, whether or not we knew penalties were going to happen, I kind of understood that Josh Allen's going to use his legs right here and get out of bounds any which way he can and still stop the clock. Granted, it didn't have to go that way, and it didn't go that way. We kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit to get them in the field goal range, but when she looked at me and her palms up and her pregnant belly out and her jaw down and wing salsa everywhere and just like, yeah, that's how it's a mess.
You're officially a fan.
It's a mess. So, overall though, it was a good game. I enjoyed the game. I wish we would use the way Buffalo was getting their players involved was not the same way we were getting our players involved. We got a player involved, and it was Devon Achane. Granted, he was moving the ball. I mean, the run game was working. We just kept with the run game, but it got predictable. And when we did start to pass, we passed it to Achane. I think Tyreek Hill had 4 catches and Jalen Waddle had 2. That's 6 catches between I want to say $150 million this year alone. Like that you need to get the ball around a little bit more. I know the run is working. I know you've been getting hounded on, but like at times you still have to pass the ball. You still have to get throw the screen pass to your playmakers. I mean, give it Devon that little bit of a break in between him running through the tackles every play. He doesn't need to catch the ball too. Granted, he can, and it looks good, and he's gonna. When he caught that one screen pass out to the left in full speed, he was gone.
It was such a beautiful throw.
Mick was like, wow, who is that? That's fast. I said, that's A-Chain. That's Devon A-Chain. That is the future of Miami Dolphins right there. That's the next face of the running back catalog. Like, he is going to be what every running back's going to want to be: fast, strong, and smart. Like, and he really surprised her, and she's been watching him all game. So he still has those moments where, he's the man, but you got to get the ball to these other players
the problem with that is that I feel like Mike McDaniel all of his wide receiver routes are in breaking. And so what the Bills specifically do better than most is they clog the middle up, right? Which forces you to then do outs, which Tua's very good at, but not known for, or deep down the sideline so that they can press.
Which his deep ball has not looked good this year, even when he's been healthy. I mean, he looks like he's gotten weaker, or he's just throwing the ball higher for whatever reason.
It's all mechanics, man. It's all of it. When on that one that he threw, where was it, last game or this game, Anthony? I can't remember, where we both texted each other. We're like, that did not look. He like loaded up like crazy and like threw it like 10 yards shallow to Tyreek Hill, who was wide open for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Now Tyreek Hill came back.
Yeah,
he came back for it. Right?
Yeah. It was pathetic.
Yeah. But he's getting back, right? And we've seen him do it. I mean, we know he can do it.
I do think though that Buffalo, there's one player on Buffalo that really saved the Dolphins from having a blowout game. I think that Taylor Rapp really saved at least 2 to 3 different touchdowns alone.
Sure.
He was the last man in defense, and every single time
he's so
that
good.
Man came up and he won. Nobody had an answer for Taylor Rapp.
He's what we wanted Marcus May to be.
But and if he's in the vicinity, play's over. You're not getting past him. And if we could have gotten past him just one of those times, he stopped 2 drives in general that resulted in one was a punt, and then I think the next play.
Well, he punched the ball out of.
Yeah. That's what it was. Was.
I mean, like, and wound up too. Like, he was taking some frustrations out on that. I mean,
overall, I felt like the offense was surprisingly good to me, and just because we haven't seen it in a while, we haven't seen this offense clicking like that. I mean, last week against the Cardinals, they looked pretty good too, but that game just felt like we'd never had it in hand. Like, I never felt throughout that Cardinals game that we were going to win it. But through this game, I felt like we could win it. We're up 10-6 at halftime. We just need to keep it going, right? And we did keep it going. And then the Mostert fumble just
hurt.
This team is so good at killing its own momentum, man.
Hurt.
7 fumbles in the last 3 games. 7.
Yeah. Last week, the fumbles killed the momentum against the Cardinals, right?
Does that include the snaps? Does that include the missed snaps, or is that
that's
actual?
No, that's
I didn't know if you. I didn't know if
the safety, like the Tua safety, that was considered a fumble. Now we haven't lost 7.
Yeah,
I think we've lost 5 of 7 or 4 of 7, but we've had 7 balls hit the ground.
I mean, what I've noticed the most over these last 2, and is the defense is just so lost, man. I don't know if it's scheme. I don't know if it's talent. I don't know what it is, but like the Ray Davis screen touchdown was just so emblematic of what our defense has been these past 2 games. Like, nobody in an arm's length of this kid. He just runs 60 yards untouched. Like, where is everybody?
Well, Marcus May was right there. I mean, I think he was maybe 15 yards away from the end zone. Marcus May was there and got froze on a small little juke, jumped to tackle, tried to arm tackle, which is something else we got to talk about, fellas. All of the arm tackles
are atrocious.
And Ray Davis was like, nope, see you later. Okay, Heisman trophied him into the end zone.
But that screams to me about scheme too. Like if your safety's one-on-one with a halfback at the screen and he's supposed to be the last line of defense, how can he do both? Right? Like,
well, watching the play again, it was the perfect call for the perfect call. If that makes
were we
sense,
blitzing
right?
on that one?
We
Like a
blitzed.
heavy-
We sent Ramsey, which put one-on-one safety on the running back, but the safeties dropped like 15, 20 yards back. So Ray Davis was just standing there like, "Hey, give it to me." And you see the hole, fill the hole, right? So you see the blitzer, throw it right to where that blitzer came from because there's nobody around him, and that's exactly what happened.
I think overall the offense has been amazing. I think safety is a real problem because we were singing the praises of Elijah Campbell a few weeks ago, and now looks awful. Right?
He needs to go too. Yeah,
we've been saying Jordan Poyer has to go since the preseason. I don't even think he played in the preseason, but we still knew. And then Marcus May, who we also thought looked serviceable, once he gets any significant playing time,
he turns back.
Reveals what the coaches saw that we couldn't see is that he's not very good, right?
Yeah.
So we have one good safety in Holland who didn't even play in this game and actually hasn't been very good this year. So we have our quote unquote star safety not playing very well, and then we have three other safeties who just aren't good. I mean, what are they supposed to what do you do about that, right? Like, do you start lining up? Do you take Nick Needham from the practice squad and put him back there? What's the solution to shoring up the back seven on the defense? Because that's the problem, right? The front four has been serviceable more often than not. Impactful in some time, but more I would give them like a C grade if we were grading them, But the back seven has been an F- if that's a thing. So what can we do to shore this up?
I feel like I'm gonna take this real quick because I was thinking about this. Cam Smith cannot cover man-to-man to save his life. And we are seeing that in the nickel. We saw that on the outside. He doesn't work in the middle. He doesn't work when he's just covering from hash to the numbers. He was burnt when he got his first opportunity. He hasn't really made a whole lot out of other opportunities, but I don't know. He made some good plays in college in South Carolina. I remember watching his highlights there, and he's got a couple pick sixes and this and that, but a lot of his routes were zone routes. And I'm not going to act like I know a whole lot about Cam Smith here, but it wouldn't hurt to try and put him back there in that safety position. I mean, I do remember seeing a few of his, like I said, his highlights and some of his picks. Didn't seem like he's hip to anybody. A lot of his interceptions, he's able to watch the quarterback and not necessarily keep an eye on a receiver. And maybe his footwork's not the best. Maybe he needs that zone in between to read the defense a little bit. And honestly, it's not going to hurt anything. Poyer finally used his head, but in the wrong way. Fourth quarter gave the other team a first down. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing, dude?
By the way, to your point, Cam had a forgettable day, but that final drive, that was a fantastic drive.
Oh, it's awesome. It was awesome.
He was the one that broke that pass up, and then Poyer comes out of nowhere and hits the guy. It's like, come on, man, the play was already over.
Exactly. But he has shown some promise. I'm not saying he's terrible, but he hasn't shown that he can cover one-on-one.
No.
With nearly
don't forget. This is his rookie year, essentially, because he was in Fangio's doghouse for some reason.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
For sure. He's still learning the system. But the thing is, he's a big guy. He's lean. He's not like...
Is he 6'1",
6'2", 6'3"? Yeah, something like that.
He's a tall guy.
Yeah. But he's not... He doesn't have the muscle mass that, you would want a 6'2", 6'3" safety to have. He's not like he's going to be your Cam Chancellor type of safety. It would be nice.
Gosh.
Yeah. It would be nice if we could. Is that what he is? 186.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be nice if you could make him 220 and put him back there.
Well, the problem is though, don't forget he also runs a 4.3 or 4.35 or whatever the hell it was. So you put weight on, he's going to be slower, right?
But that makes him more built for the position. You don't need to run that fast of a 4.45 at a safety. It's nice. You're probably definitely going to hold the field a lot easier, but it's not as necessary if you're, backpedaling most of the time.
I mean, in my opinion, I think we play more nickel.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because
which doesn't suit him, if you ask me. Yeah.
No, I'm saying from a defensive play calling
Safeties
scheme.
are garbage. The linebackers are garbage. Let's put another defensive back out there.
No, seriously. I mean,
no, I get it. That's good.
Look, I mean, we have 2 linebackers that are fast, that are okay, D+, C- type players right now, the way they're playing.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe, C+ for the year, D- over the last 2 games. Put one safety back when Holland's back, put an extra CB on the field and see what happens. Right. I don't know, man, but
you move, if you move Cam Smith back, you're giving Storm Duck his due. And honestly, I think Storm Duck has done more impressive in the opportunities he's got. He's given more highlights. He's given more, optimism to the fans. He's just given more and with less. And I don't know,
badass name.
Well, that too. I mean, it stands out, but even still, it's standing out because of how he's playing. It's not standing out because he's just on the field. His play is making the name.
You know what I'd love to see though is Storm Duck turn into like a really good player, and then they do the thing from Mighty Ducks where they're all like quack, quack, quack,
Yeah.
quack.
That'd be cool.
To Duck's credit, though, he is starting for us, though, right? He missed this game, I'm pretty sure, but he
was in. He didn't play.
Him and Kate are missing this game. That's definitely not what we needed to help improve, to help improve the secondary. I mean, geez.
I mean,
they look awful with
here's the list, right? Here's the list again. We were missing Holland, Cater, Chubb, Phillips, Sealer, Long Jr., Storm Duck. Just from the defense.
Fuller's on the other side. So Duck is coming in as the 4th corner. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a mess in the defensive secondary. There's no other way to put it. The defensive front has been okay. I think this was one of their worst games, though. They didn't get a lot of pressure on Josh, which nobody does. So whatever.
Although your boy got a sack.
Don't
Sorry.
burn the lead.
Oh,
don't burn.
Shit. I pooped the bed, fellas.
Hey, giveth and taketh away, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to get to. Listen, Deshaun Hand looked like he was getting tossed around, which is unusual because he's been kind of a rock in there. We have that Peely kid who I feel like I know he plays a lot, but I barely ever notice him. And then Calais Campbell's been really good, as usual. The guy is all over the place. He's 38 years old, and he's going from one hash to the other to chase down a running back and get him. I don't understand. Why is everybody not putting in this effort? Like, it must be so frustrating for him to be like, I am a 6'8", 350-pound man that's 38 years old, and I got to the other side of the field faster than you, right? Like, how is that possible?
It's frustrating, man. But that's accountability. We need pardon my friend. Sorry. We need accountability. We need it.
And I know you mentioned that we benched David Long, which was good to see. Anthony Walker led the team in tackles.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
great.
a great thing because that means he was chasing down guys a lot. But what I wanted to get to is that our rookie first-round pick finally had a half-decent game. Chop Robinson got his first sack. I know that he's not in our Game Balls and Jockstrap, spoiler alert, so I want to bring him up here. As soon as he got that sack, and it wasn't a long sack, it was like 6 yards or something like that. So we get to 3rd and 16. The very next play, he jumps off sides. So, like, that's where Steve's talking about. Like, he giveth and then he taketh away, like the boneheaded rookie move right after you just had your first sack. And it was a beautiful sack. He finally, like, reached his arm out, like we've been saying.
Yeah, yeah, he did speed. He did power to speed, I think, right? So he bull rushed and then shed the block.
And then the pull, whatever they call that,
Yeah.
yank.
Oh.
I don't know what they call it, but yeah.
He's awesome.
And, like, listen, mad kudos to him because Dawkins was destroying Chop this game. Like, it wasn't like the first matchup. Dawkins came prepared for Chop, and he was throwing him to the ground. He was tossing him aside like he was a sack of potatoes. And so for Chop to just keep on moving, keep on hustling, and finally get his sack, I thought was super pumped. We were all pumped. We were texting each other, Chop!
Oh, yeah. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah.
And then he jumps off sides. Oh, man.
But I'll tell you what, though. I saw it coming a mile away because after the first hard count, I'm like, oh, here he goes. I mean, such a veteran move by a good quarterback. Albeit and it tastes like vinegar, but a great quarterback right now. And Josh Allen, knowing that the rookie's probably amped up for getting his first sack, does a couple hard counts, and the rookie jumps literally into his lap. I mean, it's horrible. But
it's nuts. You know, I don't love giving credit to Bills, especially. I thought Josh Allen was going to be awful out of college, and kudos to the coaching staff because he probably would have been with any other coaching staff, really. But he looks good this year. Lost Stephon Diggs. Everybody's like, "Who's he going to throw it to?" Nobody cares because he's an elite quarterback.
I got all excited. I got all excited when that trade happened. I was like, "Oh, Josh Allen's going to take a step back." Well,
and I thought, and you know what? He's throwing it to the running backs just like us. Like you mentioned, throwing it to Achane, throwing it to not throwing it to our guys. We have 2 elite receivers. We're not even using them.
Yeah,
but that's really saved Josh Allen this year. It's like Shakir and James Cook are his top 2 targets. And, you know, Keon Coleman's starting to get some, but then he fumbles it to, you know, he drops it essentially into Jalen Ramsey's hands.
Yeah. But I will say Amari Cooper for them probably once he gets back and healthy.
Cooper will be
healthy.
Yeah,
he'll be good there.